Hello, I'm Allen Newberry, and today I'm going to show you how I take this 1¼ inch wide bar of W2 steel and turn it into this knife blade right here using a hammer, an anvil, and a 25-pound little giant power hammer. So come and take a look. So the first thing I'm going to do is heat up the very end of the bar of steel. You don't really have to heat up a whole lot of it, just the very end there, and make it into a point. That way we can start working on the shape of the blade. Alright, we're still working on the point now, but we're also kind of starting to try to stretch out that point and make it a little bit longer. Alright, now I'm starting to work on the shape a little bit, but mainly I'm kind of thinking about where I want to put everything and how long I want things to be, and starting to taper the blade a bit, make it longer, pointier, and thinner towards the end. Now what I'm trying to do is get it all set up so that I can go to the power hammer to really start working on that distal taper and the taper that I'll have in the blade as far as the pointiness goes as well. So I'm just getting it all set up so that I can go over to the power hammer. Then I go over here to the power hammer. I like to use an extra set of tongs to help give control, because otherwise, you know, that thing gets pretty hard and it's liable to bounce all over the place. Now that I've got a good basic taper in it and pointiness to it, I am going to start working on the real preform, setting it up so that whenever I go to the power hammer the next time, I'll start drawing out all the width. So here I'm kind of starting to make sure everything's good and straight. Then I'll start putting in the clip, as far as I'll kind of have a flat end there on the anvil and a curved end towards the top. And then I'll get it all set up so I can walk over the power hammer and draw out all the width that I want. Alright, now I've just about got things how I want them for going over to the power hammer. So what I'll do is heat it back up, and then I'll grab it with some tongs from the rear. I will kind of pinch off right about where I want the sharp point of the blade to be. So I'm defining where the ricasso is and where the rest of the blade starts. That transition, I put the tongs right there, and that acts as kind of a blade stop to keep my hammer from bouncing over a little too far and squishing my ricasso. And it also gives a lot of control so that I'm not just bouncing all over the place. Now that I've got the basic width that I want for the blade, I am going to go ahead and narrow the ricasso. With this bar of steel was about 1.25 inches wide. It seemed a little bit too wide for that particular blade for the ricasso size, so I thought about 1 inch wide would be good. So I used a bar of square stock there, and I just kind of lay the blade flat on the anvil there and put the square stock on, and then just kind of beat the ricasso down a little bit narrower. Then after that, I'm going to go and kind of narrow the place back behind the ricasso, just so there's a little bit more room and not just an awkward square spot. Now that I've done the main bit there on that power hammer, there's, quite a bit of crookedness to everything. So I'm just going to go in there and try to straighten up everything. There's going to be maybe some thicker spots that need to be worked down a little bit. There's going to be things off to both directions. Maybe the edge is a little off one way. And now I can kind of really define the shape. So now all the brute force work's been done. It's straightening, it's flattening, and it's defining the shapes. You set everything up to make the shapes that you want, but now I'm going in and actually making sure they're right where I want them. Here we're continuing with the straightening. Sometimes, especially you get a really big, long blade, it can seem like you're spending as much time straightening everything and getting things to look the way you want as it does actually forging the thing. Now that I've got the blade how I want it, I'm going to go over to a fullering tool, heat it up real nice and hot, go over there and it'll pinch in from both sides and set up the shoulders for where the tang will start. Then I'll head over to the power hammer and draw that out and draw out my tang to a nice long narrow bar of metal that will go through the handle. Now coming off the power hammer, the tang is kind of really poking up, so now I'm coming over here and I'm going to kind of knock it down so that it's pointing in the direction that I want, and then I'll start straightening it. Once you have everything nice and straight and how you want it, then you'll want to normalize the blade, which removes any stresses that you put into it. So you heat it up in the forge until it's not magnetic anymore, and then you let it cool down until it's solid black, again has no color in it, and then you'll do that again 2 more times, and each time that you do it, you'll do it to a little bit cooler temperature. Thank you for taking the time to watch how I forge a blade here at my home shop. I hope you enjoyed the process as much as I did. Thanks.